Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for our Earth Day showcase. Earth Day aims to raise awareness about the climate emergency and drive meaningful action to protect the environment and promote conservation. We at Saraband have the pleasure of publishing many authors whose work does just that. So on Earth Day today, we're hosting a day of inspiring readings and conversations that showcase their work and hopefully will inspire you to change something or just think differently about the world. In this first session today, we're going to be hearing from Jim Crumley, Mandy Haggith, David Howe and Amanda Thompson.
It occurs to me now, with 5 years and 4 books finally behind me, that as our planet lurches crazily towards the unknown, there's one thing, and one thing only, that we have to do to stop the chaos. And it's very, very simple. We have to learn to think beyond self. In Scotland, where I ply my trade, I'm as certain as I can ever be that nature would like us to put back the wolf and let its benevolence flow across the land. A symbol, a smoke signal telling the wild world that finally we have begun to think beyond self. Nature writing's got a job to do, and obviously good books and good nature writing in any shape or form, it can provide a kind of mouthpiece for nature's needs, for nature's ideas. But it's no substitute for immersing yourself in nature and for living it and breathing it. My favourite writer is George Mackay-Brown, and George Mackay-Brown was talking about poetry, and he said there's no such thing as a good poem or a bad poem. There's only a poem or there's a mess of words on the page. And I think that applies to nature writing as well. So I wouldn't worry too much about how you define good nature writing. It's there, if you read it and you respond to it and it moves you, it's good nature writing. I think nature writing has a duty to address the climate crisis. It's our job to say, look at this. This is what's happening. This is happening now. This is the only planet we've got, and as far as we know, we're not going to get another one. All the signs are there that we're very close to reaching some kind of tipping point, beyond which the planet, as we know it, can't recover. It's a duty of a nature writer to say that as often and as loudly and as persuasively as possible. There's nothing more important. Nature's all there is.
It comes up again and again in the book that different characters have the idea that maybe bringing bears back to Scotland could be that symbol of rebirth being used in Scotland to symbolise the rebirth of the Scottish nation. One of the most exciting things about Assynt is that we, the community, have now owned so much land, and it's no longer just up to some rich landowner to decide how his playground is going to be used. It's now down to us, the community, to decide how we manage the land and to take a really long-term view and say, what should the land be like for future generations of people who live here? And I think we can all start to have big visions about how the way land is used in Scotland can change to benefit people here, to benefit biodiversity here. If we, the people who live in Scotland, can make space for other animals, that's a sign that we're using the most modern farming methods, and also that we're somehow showing tolerance to other species and being able to share this brilliant place with the full gamut of animals that can enjoy it with us.
As we drove, I watched the landscape go by. We emerged onto the open Sutherland Moor. I understood why Assynt is called God's own country. The mountains were still tipped with snow, the deep claret birches blurring to green on the lower slopes, a first flush on the limestone grasslands. I stood among stones at the uneven edge of the water, looking out across the grey-green reflection blur of trees. Fish made circular ripples that radiated across the loch. Looking out at the surface, I let myself be absorbed by its pattern of rings. Dusk was pouring out of the forest. The loch retained an eerie, almost purple glow.
The most recent bones of bears anywhere in Scotland were found in this cave system here, and this shows really that pretty much since the last ice age, apart from the last few hundred years, there have been bears roaming in this landscape, and why shouldn't we bring them back? We've got a huge amount of space. We're not talking about having bears roaming in sort of the suburbs of our major cities. We're talking about the possibility of them returning to these vast areas of wild land.
This changed everything. I found myself looking out of the window not just at hills and moors, but at potential bear habitat.
The European brown bear is a very shy creature, and for centuries it's been persecuted, and it's probably much more frightened of us than we are of them. And so if they were wild in the Scottish Highlands, we'd be very privileged actually to catch a glimpse of one, probably turning tail from us and trying to get away into secrecy in the woods somewhere.
Hello, my name is David Howe. I graduated in geology many years ago, more years than I care to remember. But since then my career has veered in all sorts of directions. But whatever path I've taken, I've always enjoyed writing and continue to write. So after more than 5 decades, I've returned to geology and the earth sciences. I've come full circle. So I'd like to read a few paragraphs from my new book, Extraction to Extinction, Rethinking Our Relationship with Earth's Natural Resources. This short reading will give you an idea of what the book's about. So, you ready? Here we go. Nowadays, we mine, quarry, pump, cut, blast and crush billions and billions of tons of the rock that lie beneath our feet every year. We are digging into and scraping away the surface of our planet at an unprecedented rate. We are shifting so much of the Earth's crust, and to such an extent, that we're now far outstripping nature's annual capacity to move mountains and fill oceans through wear, tear and weathering. And when all of this rock has been crushed and carried to the furnaces and factories, the cunning of men and women reworks these earthly treasures into new, marvellous things. We transmute nature. We weave our rocky resources into the very fabric of the modern world in which we live, work and play. However, all of this activity has consequences. We pay a heavy environmental price for this human ingenuity. In the process of making so much stuff, habitats are destroyed, oceans are polluted, climates change, and biodiversity falls. Out of all the rocks we mine, we make more and more stuff. Concrete floors, steel-frame skyscrapers, tarmacked highways, brick houses, shopping malls, glass-plated offices, ships, cars, cups, bottles, plastics, smartphones, televisions, computers, and the vast infrastructure that surrounds our daily lives now weigh approximately 1.1 trillion metric tons. This is equal to, or even greater than, the combined dry weight of all the plants, animals, fungi and bacteria on the planet. Even more alarming, these calculations don't include all of the earth that is moved when ores are mined, coal is dug and roads are built, tunnels bored, foundations laid and seas get dredged. They don't include all of the waste that manufacturing processes create along the way, all of the fuel burnt to power machines, all of the carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere. Human beings have become a dominant, even dangerous force on the planet. We are modifying the Earth to such an extent that we are creating a new geological epoch. We've named it the Anthropocene. Throughout history, Nemesis, the goddess of retribution, has snapped at the heels of human hubris. Our wish to survive and thrive requires us to respect the Earth and its gifts. It demands that we understand we are just one thread in the complex web of life, and that whatever we do, there are consequences. Not just for other species, but for us too. The Earth is a system of densely woven, interrelated feedback loops. When we act in a way that is detrimental to the planet and the living things that it supports, somewhere along the endless line of action and reaction, we end up reaping what we sow. And what we reap may not always be good for us. Yes, we are technologically clever, but all too often we can be environmentally stupid. We shall continue to mine and extract, manufacture and make, use and consume, degrade and pollute. But we have to listen to what the environmental scientists have to say and heed the warnings of the ecologically wise. We have to consume less. The footprints we leave on the planet have to be smaller. Our economies have to be circular and not linear. Whatever we do, the Earth will still be here, but whether we'll be around to see it will depend on us. Thank you very much.
Hello there, I'm Amanda Thomson, author of A Scots Dictionary of Nature, a compilation of Scots words relating to land, birds, wood, weather, water and walking, gleaned from 19th century Scots language dictionaries. When I was compiling A Scots Dictionary of Nature, I was struck by how many words from these old dictionaries spoke to the nuances of weather. There are lovely words for elements of sunshine and warmth, summer clocks, sunbeams dancing in the atmosphere of a fine summer's day, a startle of stovey, the undulating exhalations seen rising from the ground in very hot weather. But there are so many more relating to wind and rain, so I thought I'd read some of the 62 words I found relating to rainy weather. Sapless, used of the weather, rainless, dry, lunky, sultry, denoting the oppressive state of the atmosphere before rain or thunder. Heavy-hearted, used of the atmosphere, lowering, threatening rain. Mare's tails, long streaky clouds portending rain. Flobby, used of clouds, large and heavy, indicating rain. Saft, used of the weather, damp, drizzly. A stew, a rain so thin it resembles a vapour. A smir, a fine rain. A smoosh, a fine drizzling rain. To ripple, to drizzle. A skeetly, a drop, a small shower. A smurach, a slight summer shower. Caledon o' the blade, a slight shower which cools and refreshes the grass. Lakin, used of rain, intermittent. A dackling, a scrow, a dizzle, slight showers of rain. A borey, a clear opening in the sky in wet weather. To skiffer, to spit, to dag, to rain slightly. To nyatter, to rain slightly with a high wind. A scarach, a flying shower, a blast of wind and rain. Scouthery, abounding with flying showers. A blad, a squall, always including the idea of rain. A blurt, a sharp, cold shower with wind. A plump, a heavy shower falling straight down. A blash, a plash, a slouge, a plipe, a leash, a rash, a downding, an even down, a helm of wheat, a tume of rain, a trash of wheat. Heavy falls of rain. Hail water, a phrase denoting a very heavy fall of rain in which it comes down as if poured out of buckets. To lum, to dish, to teem, to rain heavily. Spluttery, very rainy. Laughing rain, rain from the southwest with a clear skyline. Trashy, rainy, as in trashy weather. A landlash, a great fall of rain accompanied by a heavy wind. Gloucestery, a day in which there is rain accompanied with a pretty strong wind. A steeping, a drenching with rain, an uplicht, brightening after a shower, to appel, to cease to rain.
That's all from our first Earth Day Showcase session. Join us at 1 o'clock for our second part. We'll be hearing from Karen Lloyd, Roy Dennis, Jill Hopper, Stephen Moss and Anne 11.